Welcome back to the Quiet on Set podcast powered by Cineman. I'm Ewan Graff, and as always, I'm joined by Lachlan Teely.
On today's episode, Ewan will go down a rabbit hole of all of the movies and TV shows he has watched in the past week, whilst I tell you about my new camera and something about Asteroid City. Cool. Ewan, what movies did you watch? Go on.
Well, I caught the latest season of Black Mirror, the 5-episode season over there, anthology show. I'll tell you if it's good or not. Extraction 2, another Netflix property. And then I caught the first 2 episodes of the new Disney Plus show, Marvel show, Secret Invasion. Later on, Lachlan and I both caught, but this was back in Gun, Elemental, last film we saw in Gun. So we're gonna finally talk about that in all true spoiler fashion like we do on this show. Our main topic today, Lachlan, something different, right?
Want to see me run to that mountain and back? Want to see me do it again?
Fuck off.
Today, we're doing The Flash as quickly as humanly possible, just so we can try to miss as much of the controversy surrounded by the movie as possible. So this is going to be the quickest review of The Flash you're ever going to see. Besides the podcast length, the part that's going to be about The Flash is going to be very short.
Yeah, we'll be over in a flash, but let's cue up that intro and get into the show. We are professionals.
This is a professional podcast.
Yes. Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Hello there. Which actually,
Did you
this
get
is gonna
me a
be
hat
a
as
bit,
well?
Yes.
So I've got Dooncam. It's just a camera with my Dune steelbook.
All right, welcome back, Lachlan. You want to tell me about your camera straight away, or is this something that you want to keep until we get to what we've been watching? Because I'm curious now. I didn't know that you got a new camera. I kind of want to know.
Yeah, no, we can wait because I'll show you it in a minute. But yeah, we can wait.
Okay, I'll wait then. So we'll talk about the news next. And I made you watch a couple of trailers. We don't always do that unless I feel like there's a couple of interesting visuals to tease and to float around. Yeah, you caught the trailers for Elio and Nimona, 2 different properties, 2 animated films. One from Pixar, the other one, I don't know where it's from, who does it, I didn't check. And then also Landscape with an Invisible Hand, a movie that premiered earlier this year in Sundance. 2 animated films, 2 films about aliens. There's a lot of connections to be made. Out of those 3, was there anything that stood out to you? One that you're actually looking forward to?
I feel like they all kind of, at least the first 2 blurred into one for me. Elio, I'm excited for, but I just feel like all of the Pixar movies of recent memory all look the same. Like they are set in different places, but they all look the same. They don't have something that differentiates it from the previous Pixar movie.
Right.
It's just a little annoying that they're all kind of merging into one, and I'm sure in like 10 years' time, when we're trying to talk about the 2020s of Pixar movies, they're all going to kind of merge into one. Oh, do you remember that Pixar movie where that person separated from their family and went into a big world of out of this world proportions, whether it be literally out of this world, like in this one, or whether it be the human world in Luca. But like the films just kind of merge into one. Nimona, I thought seemed cool. The art style, I don't necessarily like. I didn't really jump onto it that quickly. Like it's one of those. If in this grand scheme of Love, Death, Robots, it wouldn't be one of those animation styles that I would just go, yeah, I'm into this.
Right. Yeah.
So that's that. I guess I'll watch it when it comes out on Netflix. And Landscape with Invisible Hand is interesting in its concept, and I really like the first 2 minutes of that trailer, but then it just drags the last 45 minutes and goes for too long. So I'm intrigued. But yes, that's probably the only one that I actually got interested in, because it very quickly changes in the trailer to this different kind of movie, and you go, oh, okay, this is exciting.
Yeah, and I've also heard from Sundance that or people who attended Sundance, not from Mr. Sundance directly in my ear, that this is a quite weird movie, and I was like, okay. And then I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, that's the part that's weird.
It's the same director as weird. Thoroughbreds, and I thought Thoroughbreds, same director as Thoroughbreds, or same. Either way, it's the same creators of that film, and that was already weird enough in amongst itself as a movie. And I heard some interesting things about Bad Teachers, but I'm yet to see that as well.
Mhm.
But Corey Finlay, Thoroughbreds, Bad Education, and Landscape with Invisible Hands. And currently, this is his second highest. Thoroughbreds is a 6.6 on IMDb.
Yeah, I mean, Bad Education, the one with Hugh Jackman, was pretty good. I like that one. So, gonna check this
I'm
out
excited.
when it comes out. Nimona, I didn't mind the art style there. I kind of like that she stands out so much from the transformations being like different color and everything else is kind of, kind of contrasting that. I feel like that can get old for an entire movie. And I don't really vibe with the comedy that it sets up. Like, it's going to be so generic, so it's using tropes to make jokes, and I don't typically find them funny unless it's like woven into a more clever narrative. And I feel like a kids movie or like an animation movie that usually aims for kids is, dumbing down a lot of stuff. So I feel like there's nothing interesting that comes out of that, at least for me. And then Elio, yeah, man. I mean, we're gonna get into it a bit more. Maybe I'm on the Pixar hate train at the moment, but didn't look at all interesting to me, to be honest. But yeah, those are the trailers. Check them out in your own time and let us know what you made of them. Last night there was a huge, I guess for us last night, a huge Netflix fan event happening in Brazil. Netflix saw a bunch of comments that always said, "Come to Brazil," and they finally did for the Tulum event, and basically had a showcase for a bunch of upcoming stuff. None of it was actually like really new announcements to me, or at least new in the sense of, hey, this series is getting another season. That was basically the biggest extent of it. There was nothing really that interested me. Extraction is getting another sequel, but if you watch the second one, and the second one is actually quite a bit better than the first one, to see that get a third one, it's not really that surprising. But the two things that I'm most curious about, live action adaptations of a cartoon and an anime, Avatar: The Last Airbender and One Piece, both getting the live action treatment in series form, and we got a short little teaser. The Avatar one didn't really show anything besides like, hey, there's different elements in this bitch, and that's it. It really doesn't give you anything. And there were a bunch of stills of the looks of the characters, for some of the main characters, and I feel like it doesn't look bad, to be honest. We haven't really seen anything from the story itself, but the look itself, the costumes, I feel like it's pretty good. One Piece, on the other hand, I haven't seen the series. I haven't seen the anime. I'm sure you haven't either, because I tallied it up. You gotta watch for 22 days straight without a break to watch all of One Piece, and nobody gonna be doing that. But maybe I'll watch like a recap of season 1 and 2 and whatever if this ends up continuing. But yeah, have a brief look at that One Piece teaser, because it's a strange one, and I don't know if it will be somewhere along the lines of that horrible Death Note Netflix movie, or if it will just be something that is not atrocious. But yeah, what do you think about those two things?
So first things first, I've seen at least 300 episodes of One Piece.
I
Thank you
don't
very
believe
much.
you. I don't believe
I
you.
used to watch
Have
it
you
a lot
actually?
when I was younger.
You have?
But then
Okay.
fell off of it. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
how you assume these things of me, Ewan, that I'm not cultured and I don't watch anything other than just Hollywood blockbusters that don't go bing, boom, boom, bang, bang.
I don't know.
Explosion,
You just don't
explosion.
strike me as the manga anime person. I don't think you've seen a ton, so I wasn't
Haven't
gonna
seen a ton,
assume.
doesn't mean I haven't seen any,
Right.
you know?
Because
Like,
pirates.
I used to
you
watch
do
a
like
lot of
pirates.
Naruto. I used to watch a lot
Yeah.
of One Piece.
Haven't seen that either.
When I was younger, but
Yeah.
I fell off of it and then never really jumped on because there's like over 1,000 episodes and that's just a lot of shit to catch up on. But
Yeah.
I do know a bit of the source. I am a little bit excited for the One Piece adaptation because of the Cowboy Bebop adaptation, in the sense that it
Right.
was very similar and it did respect the source material. And there's two elements to this trailer that it shows off. One, it's the crew, the cast of the adaptation, and two, a little bit of the production design.
Mhm.
One, this show will definitely rely on the relationship of the crew. If these guys don't bounce off each other and bump heads
Yeah.
like they do in the show, it's not going to flow as well. And most importantly, if there's no visual elements from the original anime, and there's nothing of that in the show, then it's just going to be like, why is this here? You're just taking the characters and put them in the new thing. Unfortunately, I don't see much visual flair to this show. It does just seem like they're taking the characters and taking a couple iconic images from the anime and they're just throwing it into this show. To be fair, it is an adaptation, not a remake, so you can't just do bang bang, here's the exact same shot for shot, but in live action. That's pretty much impossible. But it does ask the question, what's the point of this? What story are they going to tell? Because there's obviously a lot of stories you can tell since there's so many freaking episodes. But that's my opinion on One Piece. My opinion on Avatar is less one way or another right now, mainly because I haven't seen anything.
It's further off as well.
I've seen the characters. I've seen what they look like. I don't think they look great. I've seen that little teaser of the fucking elements, and that's about it. Again, I don't think it looks good or bad, but I didn't like that title screen of like that flag. It looked kind of meh. I'm a bit nervous about this adaptation because I very much love the Avatar Last Airbender.
Yeah. I feel like they only have done a photo shoot and we're like, okay, let's get like a teaser thing together. I think they're not really. To me, at least, it looks like they haven't really done a lot for it yet. Probably the scripts are done if they're like, if they think they can get it out in 2024. So it's not affected by the writer's strike, but I don't know.
Yeah, look, I will be excited to see where it goes. Again, I can't really judge the photos because they do definitely feel a little bit staged in a way. I don't think they're like stills. I mean, they could be stills, but they don't really look like stills from the show. I really hope they're not because they look very boring lighting wise. But yeah, I guess you get Katara, you get Aang, you get Zuko, and Sokka. There it is, 4 photos. I guess that's the main 4 characters, but yeah.
It's hard to tell yet. I mean, it is slated to premiere on Netflix in 2024. So that could be at the very tail end of 2024 as well. And I feel like it's going to take them a while for this. And I hope it takes them a while to get a decent product out. And for One Piece, what we got is actually what we get because it's coming out at the end of August. So it's not that far away. I'll give it a try. You're probably going to be, again, the person who kind of knows a bit more, at least early on in the story, if this is like a faithful adaptation. But I'm not familiar with any of these characters. So when they like pop up and you're supposed to have a reaction, I'm like, haha, that, yeah. But yeah, that's that. And then also some news over at DC and Warner Brothers. Apparently, the James Gunn directed Superman Legacy has started to do screen tests for a couple of characters, mainly for Superman. And the people in question here are Nicholas Hoult, David Corenswet, and Tom Brittany for the roles of Superman. Now, to me, obviously, and to most people, probably Nicholas Hoult stands out the most. But I wanted to ask you, Lachlan, is there anyone in particular that you would want to see as Superman?
Timothée Chalamet.
And for me, it's Tom Holland. Oh my God, we match. Tim and Tom.
How about here's a wild one. Henry Cavill.
No, he's too old. It's like,
oh, of course.
Okay, I don't get why
this
it's called
young,
Superman Legacy. Yeah, is
young
it a
Superman,
young one?
Right?
He has a young legacy, so it's got to be like 19-ish.
How about Dwayne The Rock Johnson plays Superman and then Kevin Hart plays Lois Lane?
No, I think they're looking. Jeez, I think they're looking for people who are like around 30 at the moment. A bunch of the people.
Oh, okay.
Like, that's the range there. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a particular preference there. I feel like someone who matches with James Gunn's, I was about to say humor, but I feel like this movie is not going to be like as funny as some of his other films. So I don't know. But they're doing the screen test, so they figure it out. And then On the side of Lois Lane, we got Emma Mackey, Phoebe Denever, and Rachel Brosnahan. I'm not familiar with Phoebe, but I guess she was in Bridgerton, so yay! I don't know. I haven't seen it. You might be familiar with her. You've seen parts of Bridgerton, right?
I have seen parts of Bridgerton, yes.
Yes. Okay. So it's it's One Piece and Bridgerton, the two pieces of culture that Lachlan brings to the show. And then Emma Mackey from Sex Education. She's done a bunch of other stuff. She'll be in a smaller role in Barbie. She's great. And then Rachel Brosnahan, probably most known for a run that's about to conclude this year with the marvelous Mrs. Maisel. But yeah, she's also had quite an extensive career, mainly in supporting roles. I feel like I would love to see Emma Mackey in this role. What about you, Lachlan? Do you have I mean, for Lois Lane, it's way more of a side character, less of the superhero stuff. But do you have a preference there?
For Lois Lane,
Yeah, for Lois Lane, yeah.
I mean, Timothy Chalamet.
it's a you're just like so Aussie that you want Timothy Chalamet cast twice as Tim and Tam, and you can say, "Hey, I got a Tim Tam over here." You just want a Tim Tam movie. After Flaming Hot, I think we are overdue for like a Tim Tam movie. We keep getting these like Air for like the Air Jordans, these ad movies. I want to, because I don't know what's the behind the scenes stories of a Tim Tam, and I hope it's not underwhelming. Someone research that and do it. But then lastly, a bunch of release dates. Pretty much all of the release dates, what feels like for Disney, have shifted around in 2024. So I'll run over some of them. We'll stop once there's like a bigger thing here. But there's changes for the MCU slate and for Star Wars. And some movies that are announced, but we don't really know much about yet. So first up, the new Captain America movie, A Brave New World, was moved from May 3rd, 2024 to July 26, 2024. It's only a small date. We did get a slated untitled Alien movie that is dated for August 16th, 2024. Yes. Perk up your ears. Because there's, there's something happening. I'm quite keen for that as well. Thunderbolts moved from July to December. Deadpool 3 moved up from November 8th to May 3rd, 2024. So it changed.
Feel that crunch, visual effects artist.
Oh, yeah. And also, because Ryan Reynolds is technically, he's in the Writers Guild, right? So he's not allowed to do rewrites on the set of Deadpool 3 as they're filming that. So I don't know how the fuck they're going to navigate, because he's technically not allowed to improv then, because that's part of his acting, but also part of his writing in a sense. So I don't know how they'll navigate that, but I smell a scab, to be honest. But yeah, so they changed that around. So we got Thunderbolts, Deadpool, and Captain America all happening in that year 2024 for Marvel. Then we got The Amateur, dated for November 8th, 2024. I don't know what that is. Blade has moved out of 2024 from September to February in 2025. Fantastic Four is slated to release a bit later in May instead of February of 2025. And then the Disney live-action Moana is slated to come out on June 27th, 2025. And gotta say, that's not too far off, to be honest. They are like moving that along. Yeah, then in Avatar news, the movies have been pushed back quite a bit. The third one, after, it was supposed to be like 2 years for each Avatar movie, and then like we get them back to back to back. Initially, I think they wanted to alternate, have a new Star Wars film, have a new Avatar film in December each year to kind of dominate the box office. Then they have abandoned that strategy because Star Wars is also not doing it that frequently. We'll get to that in a second, because I feel like they have a weird strategy at the moment, at least from the release dates. But Avatar 3 has moved from 2024 to 2025 in December. These are always in December. And then instead of 2026, we're getting Avatar 4 at the moment in 2029, and then Avatar 5 in 2031, and it's a bit weird to plan
Man,
that
can't
much
wait
ahead.
to cover that on episode 764 of the Quiet on Set podcast.
8 years from now, so it would be like it would be like around that. It would be like 500 and something. Yeah. So yeah, Avatar 5, a while off, and then Star Wars, like I said, is also moved from like end of the year in 2025 to May in 2026 for one of them. They're both untitled Star Wars projects, but the three that we got announced, right, up in there. But another Star Wars project is stated to come out later that year in December 18th, 2026. So they got May to December for 2 Star Wars films. Then it will have been like 7 years since the last Star Wars film that they had theatrically, and they're doing 2 in 1 year. So lastly, before we get to our thoughts, and then the 2 Avengers films, the Kang Dynasty from 2025 to 2026 has been pushed that way, and Secret Wars from 2026 to 2027. So generally, most of that stuff just got like a year added, other than like Avatar, which was like, let's push it back 3 years. But yeah, Lachlan, any thoughts on those bunch of release date changes, or do they make sense?
Yeah, I have to wait longer for Star Wars, which makes me mad.
Yeah, there's another third one that's gonna come out even later than this. I guess.
Yeah.
If they're even happening. But yeah, I'm keen for that Alien movie. Because that's just a year. That's just
not
a
far
year
away.
and a bit more. And the rest, yeah, it seems like they are still keeping Disney. Why did I say Disney?
Disney?
Busy Disney. They're keeping Disney, yes. With all of the Marvel stuff still, although they pushed a bunch of or shifted a bunch of stuff around to have Deadpool come out first. But I think the other things that are announced haven't done much beyond 2026. So I guess it's everything that was pushed around. Never mind. Bunch of stuff has moved around. It's far ways off. So let's stick to the stuff that actually is releasing right now and that you could check out right now. So let's get to Lachlan, what we've been watching. And now I don't want to wait any longer, Lachlan. Tell me about your new camera, because I don't know this either, so I'm keen.
Well, I've also been watching Supernatural.
Ah, okay. You're back
back up on that train. Yeah,
yes.
No, I'm back here. Alrighty. So I wanted to get this camera before I went to Cannes, but didn't have time to buy it. Needed to spend money on other things such as flights and accommodation. And most importantly, money so that Ewan and I could go out drinking and eating places, because that was more important for when we were there. Anyway, when I got back, I ordered it straight away. Here is my new camera. Come on, focus.
Ooh.
Focus.
Oh, that's an old-timey camera, a film camera. Wow.
This
people
is
on the audio side, you
35
switch
mil
over to video.
Canon A1 camera. Why? I really like the visual look of this film, because it's completely black. And I like just simply black color schemes, or like dark color schemes. And I don't like too much silver. Like, there's a silver band around the ring of this lens, which is a 50 mil. So I typically keep this one on here. I also got 2 other lenses, a 24 2.8 and a 75 to 200 millimeter lens as well. So I've got a ultra zoom lens, a pretty wide lens, and then my nifty 50. But with this, I mainly wanted to get it because I've been trying to I want to say like de-technologify myself in a sense, because I've got my really good camera that I'm filming on right now, and I've also got a really good camera on my phone as well. And I thought that I wanted to be more in the moment with things when it comes to taking photos. So I decided to restrict myself to 34 to 36 exposures per reel. And really pick my shots. And I've had this for about a week, and I've taken 25 shots on it, which is way less than what I would usually take in a week, because I can just do this. Bang, 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 bang. Yeah, even like the burst shots, fucking panoramas. So I had to get really picky. To be honest, this is a first test reel, if I'm totally honest with you, in the sense that I'm not 100% sure how well this camera works. I've been told that it works, and it's been tested apparently, but I bought it on eBay. Never trust anything you buy on eBay, pretty much, because it's eBay. So I'm basically testing it out over this week, and probably in the next couple of days I'll get the film sent off to be developed, and then eventually I'd like to develop my own film, at my house. That'd be nice, so I could do the whole process myself.
Can you make your own room like a dark room for that?
I can pretty much get no light in here. Alternatively, I will just develop the film at midnight.
All right, yeah,
just don't do it during the day. Smart, right? If I need to, just develop it at nighttime. But yeah, that's the goal. This thing is really really cool.
It's fun, yeah. I haven't.
Also,
really
if there wasn't
any
film in
cameras
here already, I'd literally let you listen to the shutter. It sounds so good.
Very
it
satisfying.
Sounds. Can I? I'll see if I can. I'll do this. That's me just loading the next film. Oh man, it just sounds so good. Because it's obviously mechanical. It's electric, but it's mostly mechanical as well, and it just every part feels carefully crafted as well. That's what feels really good about this camera. And as much as I love my Sony, and I have my gear for my Sony, and I will still take that camera out with me. And I think that when I am going to take photos, I will take this camera out with me, the Sony as well. But when I want to take special photos, this is what I'm going to be using. 100%.
Yeah, I mean, they do have that timeless feel that you just get from the film look that you can't really artificially create with digital stuff. Doesn't work the same.
Got this, which is a motor extension drive, which automatically feeds the film through once I've taken a shot, instead of me having to do it each time. However, the charger for this is, I think, proprietary with Canon, and they don't make it anymore, and I can't find a charger for it. So I've basically got a whole bunch of metal here that's useless, and if I want to, I found one on eBay for $300, and I'm not going to spend $300 for this, which the battery in it is probably already fucked already, when I can just click it with my thumb instead. But anyway, that's what I've been doing this week. I've been going to take photos, watching Supernatural, and I went and also watched The Flash as quickly as I humanly could, which was 2 hours and 20 minutes. Didn't even stay for the end credits.
I got you. I stayed. I need to touch grass, Lachlan, because I did another week of watching a whole bunch of stuff. Not as bad as last
Incredible.
week. Also, I did touch grass once or twice, but I definitely need to go out and take some pictures. I really want to get back into that as well. It's so fun. Speaking of terrible futures, Black Mirror season 6 is, to sum it up shortly, another letdown. If I'm being perfectly honest, there's, out of the 5 episodes that premiered, only 2, in my opinion, would even I would even identify as Black Mirror-esque. Episode 1 and 3 have the only concept of being like that. One of them is Joan is Awful. It's about there's a Netflix show about a person, and it just basically tells the story of her pretty much one day after. So she experiences it in show form, and it does that in the most basic way possible. It doesn't really do anything interesting with that concept. It just wants to be carried by, hey, she's on the screen again, so what's that? And then it got a bunch of big name cameos. That one was pretty bad. And then Beyond the Sea was the other one that was actually kind of like Black Mirror. That was the one with Aaron Paul. That was really interesting because it was about astronauts that have a separate physical body that's just a robot to stay with their family that they can kind of download themselves to. Really great concept. Pretty great the entire way through. Quite thrilling, but had a horrible ending in a way that a lot of these Black Mirror shows just want to be hey, we are the show that don't do happy endings, so we're just going to shock you as much as possible. even if it doesn't make any sense. So that's what this one does, unfortunately. And then there were 2, episode 3 and 4, that were basically just horror shows that seemed like they were a bit too late for Cabinet of Curiosities, just in between season 1 and 2. So they got put into this because they don't fit this at all. They don't fit into Black Mirror at all. One of them is about like a paparazzi, and then there's like some creature stuff in there, and the other one's about a lady in the 70s who starts to commit murders because a demon tells her so. Has nothing to do with the future or tech. But yeah. And the last one, Lock Henry, is basically just a true crime show. Also, doesn't really have anything to do with tech, but is about filmmaking ultimately, because the titular character is a documentary filmmaker. But yeah, that one was, I'd say, the best. But yeah, that one was it was pretty enticing and captivating. So if I can recommend any of them, I'd say episode 2 and 3 are probably the best out of this new season of Black Mirror. Another thing that released, if you just want stupid, entertaining action, Extraction 2 actually delivers. It does have a quite long take. I think that's what they were like really proud of, that they showed off again and again and kept mentioning. I didn't time how long it is, but I don't know, 27 minutes. It's a really long sequence that is basically the extraction sequence in this movie is like a one take. And it does feel a bit like showy at times where you notice that it's just there because they want a cool long take. And there are a couple of moments where you could cut, but it is quite thrilling. So I can recommend that if you just want like some pretty easy entertainment. And then, yeah. The other big thing I watched was the first 2 episodes of Secret Invasion, and I'm happy to say that I think this is probably going to be the best Marvel Disney Plus show that they've done yet. Wasn't the biggest fan of WandaVision personally. I did quite like Miss Marvel and Loki. This one is way more grounded in a way that like Andor is to Star Wars, and if they pull that off and make that great, it could be quite enticing. And yeah, I'm happy to see more of it. Caught a couple more things that aren't like as new. The only other thing that just premiered on Disney Plus is Chevalier, and it's like about this forgotten historic figure, a black man who was a composer. And the movie is really trying to sell us on like how much of a big thing and how cool he is compared to everything else. And it's like, yeah, it's like so caught up in the narrative of today to make it kind of compelling that it feels like it loses itself a bit. But there's some great music, some great performances in there, and it's weirdly a kind of a fun watch for like a topic like this. But yeah, I can recommend that one. And I'm trying to catch up on all of the films that are in the Letterboxd 250, and I started with City of God, and one of the highest rated films on IMDb and on Letterboxd, and I just didn't like it at all. I felt like it was so into its own violence in a weird sense, and just taking from Scorsese and Tarantino and just slopping it all on a very messy, kind of horrible looking film. I didn't like it at all. So I had to cleanse myself and watch it some dinos. So caught the second season of Prehistoric Planet, narrated by David Attenborough, and it's very fun to watch that show. I mean, Apple has the look down; it just looks amazing, and I just popped that on and just it's like instead of meditating, Lachlan, I just look at digital dinos on Apple TV. That's what I do. Everyone's got their own thing. Rewatch the original Little Mermaid to kind of compare it to the new one, and 9 out of 10, man. Such a great movie. Even still, I love it still. Great movie. One last thing, I watched I'm a Virgo, a Amazon Prime show about a really tall guy. He's like 8 foot tall, and it's such a bizarre show. Yeah, it's a really bizarre show. It uses a lot of like perspective shifts and a lot of the like framing to do that stuff. And I was in like for the first 2 episodes, I was like, yeah, I can kind of see where they stitch it together. By episode 3, I was like, no, I'm fully immersed in this weird reality It was kind of fun. So that's gonna be like a bit of a under the radar pick. And yeah, also watch Bumblebee. Pretty good, pretty fun. It's got like some generic stupid stuff that I feel like a big blockbuster like this always has to have, but it's pretty fun. I don't know. I didn't mind it at all. But yeah, that's all the stuff that I've been watching. So yeah, now that we have like 2 minutes left in our recording, like let's get to the Flash.
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's go.
Alright.
Let's go. When his attempts to save his family inadvertently alter the future, Barry Allen becomes trapped in a reality in which General Zod has returned and there are no superheroes or metahumans to turn to. In order to save the world that he is in and return to the future that he knows, Barry's only hope is to race for his life. But will making the ultimate sacrifice be enough to reset the universe?
Will it? I don't know. We'll have to wait.
Neither
and see
do they.
I think they don't really know. Yeah, that's why like this movie is the biggest in between that you could have for a movie that's like, let's softly click the reset button, hit it. That's kind of how this movie feels. But it comes from Warner Brothers at a runtime of 2 hours and 24 minutes. It's quite a hefty movie as well, and so far has been received kind of in a mediocre way. On Letterboxd it's a 3.2, on IMDb a 7.4, a bit higher there, and then on Metacritic a 56. So yeah, Lachlan, let's talk about The Flash. Quick non-spoiler thoughts before we break it down fully. I think for our review, we'll try to stay clear of all of the controversy that surrounds Ezra Miller, because I feel like Warner Brothers also has been trying to do that. It's just like, oh yeah,
because we're launching our own new podcast called the What Did Ezra Miller Fuck Up This Week podcast.
Yeah, exactly. So we wanna tease you for that, and don't want to spoil too much of that yet. But what did you make of this movie? The story, the characters, the look as well. I feel like the look is a big one for this. What are your brief thoughts on it?
Well, I mean, it was such a mess. I just kept writing messy in my notes. Like, my notes are literally just like CGI mess, which obviously there's that whole the CGI was bad on purpose thing that they did when they came out after the film launched. There's a mess with the story. The characters are a mess. The whole thing is just a bit of a what the fuck is going on? And what was going on at DC? Because obviously this is not the current DC team that we've got right now. They didn't make this film. This film was already pretty much in post-production when they got there.
I mean, they are taking on the director, because he's apparently doing the Batman movie Brave and the Bold. So
now we can't blame anyone for this mess, because we don't know where it fell through. I personally think it would have been the higher ups at DC and Warner who were probably meddling in this film, and they were probably going into disaster recovery mode once Ezra Miller happened. At least what his actions had outside of the film, how they affected the inside of the film, because I don't think originally there was this many cameos. I think that they tried to cameo fest this film up to get the distraction away, to go, look how many people we got in this film. Because there is a point where the cameos become a literal joke, and I just thought to myself, this film is not worth my time.
Yeah, I mean, you're also someone who doesn't like cameos. I mean, me neither, but I feel like you got an even stronger distaste for them.
Not in the sense that I don't like cameos. I just don't like this current era of let's throw cameos in because that's going to get people excited. No, what gets me excited in a movie is a good story that doesn't rush through things. And also when I feel like I've been let down, because one of the greatest things about this film is, funnily enough, the opening and Batman, especially Ben Affleck's Batman. And it makes me go, fuck, I really want a Ben Affleck standalone movie with this Batman, not Batman v Superman Batman, not Justice League Batman, this Batman. There was a scene where he's chasing down a bunch of criminals in a car, and it's so comic booky, cartoony, anime action, and I was like,
Mhm.
this is a lot of fun. Like, this is a
Yeah.
lot of fun. And it's the same with Michael Keaton's Batman as well. It's a lot of fun. It's like
Yeah.
his action is enjoyable. He's a different Batman.
Mhm.
And I just got really excited about this sort of style of Batman.
Mhm.
But obviously, this is not his movie. This is The Flash. And this is where I
Yeah.
think that they went, okay, look, we have an issue. Ezra Miller fucked up,
Mhm.
and they're all trying to obviously fix it. So what they do is they put Michael Keaton as the face of the film.
Yeah. I mean, and he's I don't think he's in the movie like he's in the movie a lot, but he doesn't take over the movie. At least to me, it didn't feel that way. I liked moments. I never liked a full sequence.
Yeah.
For example, I in the opening, I did like the Ben Batfleck stuff, but I didn't like the weird comedy that was in the like slowing down the Speed Force with the babies. Didn't really
No, that
work
wasn't
for
fun.
me. That kind of sequence stuff. And I did like towards the end, without spoiling it just yet, a bunch of moments there as well with like how dark certain things get. But yeah, it kind of pulls you out a lot to make a pit stop to I don't know, make like a joke or something, and it just usually doesn't land. And I feel like Ezra as the Flash doesn't work for me. He just doesn't really fit. The manic energy on screen is just sometimes it's a bit too much, and then there's two of them, so it's like even
Doubling
worse.
down. But the other thing about this
Yep.
is, and this isn't spoiler territory, but
Yeah.
you know this film is unfinished.
Hmm. And
This
well,
film
do
is
we
unfinished.
want to get to spoilers and mention specifically what it is? I feel like we've said
Well, I
enough
mean,
of it.
CGI. I wouldn't say CGI is spoilers, but
Oh,
there's
you mean like
a
the
lot
CGI?
of CGI.
I don't
I
know
mean, CGI. There is heavy CGI sequences that are extremely
It's
close
very
up,
rubbery. Yeah.
and it is definitely the same quality of Dwayne the Rock Johnson in
Scorpion King.
Scorpion King level
There's
of
some rough stuff.
CGI.
And like
But
there's
at the
also
same time,
like the thing that I noticed the most was like the floating head and the face replacement on Ezra
Sure.
didn't work like half of the time.
No.
The face was just like floating around sometimes. It just that part was definitely not finished and didn't really look that proper.
But then it's also coming down to the again, the cameos, the story as well. The story
Yeah.
goes all different places in the sense that nothing is sort of spread out to run over the full runtime besides the main antagonist, which you don't even get for more than 5 minutes. The main villain.
I just forgot who
of
the
this-
villain is.
It was just here.
yeah, it's
Here they
Zod.
are. Here's the villain,
Yeah.
and then I mean, Zod's not the villain. Zod's just there. That he's
Yeah.
just in the backdrop, right? This is his story. He's just in the backdrop. And the thing is, the main antagonist to this villain, the main antagonist to this film, is introduced and then completely forgotten about. Zod becomes the main bad guy, but he's also then completely forgotten about. And it's now come back to this other villain in the last 10 minutes of the film, and it's like, hang on a second, what about Zod? We are focusing on him now, aren't we? No, we're focusing on this guy who was at the start. It's a mess. Like, the story is a mess. And then if we want to start getting into spoilers now, so here's the like
spoilers.
ding 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 spoiler warning
Flashcard.
for
Spoilers.
the Flash,
Mhm.
which you have to really spoil it, but like Superwoman was the name of the
Supergirl?
character.
I think
Supergirl.
it's Supergirl.
I feel like Supergirl is like not that great, but like
It is-
Superwoman is in
and
the
it's like you
movie,
got Superman
and
and then you got Supergirl. It's kind of condescending in a way, but
there is
but yeah.
such a massive effort to bring her on the screen, right?
Oh, yeah.
To get her not only like on the screen in a movie, which is wicked to have her on the big screen as like a character and represented. But also in the film, they go through a massive effort, like a good 20-minute sequence, right? Or maybe even like 30 to 45 minutes to actually get Michael Keaton's character on board with doing it to rescue her. And then she fucking dies! She just doesn't do anything! She's just there! I literally lost my mind when she was just wasted.
Yeah. I mean, that whole end sequence, I didn't mind. I kind of liked how they were struggling. Like, in a sense of the story piece, I feel like coming to the realization that you are doomed, that this is, to bring it back to Spider-Verse, a canon event here in this universe.
Wait, are you talking about like them going back to save Superwoman?
No, I meant like initially when they're on that battlefield and they lose and they're like, oh, we gotta reset. And them like realizing, I feel like in there is a good story. They didn't do the good story.
Them doing it over and over again, right?
Yeah. I like that.
Okay,
sequence.
that part I don't mind.
Yeah,
but the
I like
part
that quite a bit.
But the part that they go through all this effort and they don't do anything with her.
Yeah, no, there's not much that she does.
There's no moment for her. There's none.
No, there's not a lot apart from looking really rubbery. And she has that like first initial thing where she beats up like where there a bunch of people on the rooftop that she fights. It shows like how ruthless she is. But yeah, not much beyond that. After that.
Also, for a minute, I thought we were gonna get like Russian Superwoman, and I was actually kind of excited because that would have been way more interesting if you have to then fight bad Superman woman.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if both of them were just Russian and evil.
I just want the movie to be in Russian. Like, yeah.
Can you imagine how bad timing that would have been if both the Russians were the villains and also Ezra Miller was in this movie?
Yeah. Oh my god. Anyways, what are we gonna get to next? Do you have like favorite moments?
There would be. I mean, like, I really enjoyed the Keaton introduction with him throwing like random objects in the kitchen as if they were batarangs. That was actually kind of entertaining because they were like dead accurate. But for me, I think my favorite moment would have been the sort of end moment with them. Like, that was the best moment when it, like it's Barry and new Barry, who's just got his powers, like going around and around. Like, that moment was like, this is interesting. This is exciting because it's showing that he's also the villain, and that's so much fun. I really enjoyed that little moment, but as a moment as a whole, I hated it. But I was like, that's the most exciting, interesting moment that this film has put forth onto the screen so far. The rest of this is just general mishmash, boring stuff. So for me, I don't really have a moment that stands out that I really enjoy, other than the stupid little Batman throwing random shit at the Flash. And that's it.
Yeah. To me, it's also kind of hard to find something that in its entirety I did like. I just found it really ridiculous when Nick Cage was on screen. Not that I approve of it.
So that's the moment I'm talking about. That's the moment where I'm like, okay, this cameo fest is when I saw that fucking pan into the world, and I saw the back of his head and long hair, I was like, that's Nicolas Cage.
Yeah,
Don't you dare turn around and be Nicolas. And he turned around and like, I was like, how dare you insult me as a moviegoer and have this happen? It was just ridiculous that they... And that's not even... I mean, I didn't hate the last cameo with...
Wait, which one was that? Oh, the last cameo with Clooney?
With George
the Clooney one.
The last cameo
I hated that one.
It's so dumb.
It's
that
so
I
dumb.
literally... I audibly laughed in the theater going...
Me too.
Ha! No one else laughed the entire time of that screening. I audibly giggled at the end. And I was walking down the stairs. I was ready to go because I knew the film was wrapping up.
Yeah.
And that just was so ridiculously dumb. But the whole
And I mean the cameo fest.
Nicolas Cage,
yeah.
Superman.
There's like a couple more. Like there's Adam West as Batman. There's George Reeves and Christopher Reeves, Superman. Helen Slater, Supergirl. Then Nick Cage and George Clooney. That's the one that I picked up on. I think a bunch of people who are like really into this stuff were rooting for what's his name, who was in Glee. Why is that the one that's popping up? He also has played the Flash for years on the CW. Grant Gustin. For him to pop up, but yeah,
this is what I'm saying, where they could have had actual
alive people. They got
cameos.
A bunch of dead people for this movie.
They
which
could have
is
had
a bit
meaningful cameos. That would have been better for the people seeing this film. They would have had meaningful reasons for fans of this character to come and watch this movie, like people are doing with Spider-Verse. Also, this is the worst timing for this film to release because Spider-Verse was so much better to do this fucking idea. But it is unfortunate
since Spider-Verse, apart from Everything Everywhere All at Once, I don't think there's been like a really good multiverse movie. It was across the Spider.
This is a perfect example of people are going to go see both of these films this month, right? They're going to go see Spider-Verse. They're going to go see Flash, and they're going to be like, "Man, Flash sucks." But because
it was a lot same thing
more than
last year, not for DC but for Marvel, because Multiverse of Madness came around the same time as Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah,
it was like,
and everyone was like,
a way better version.
This is terrible. Why do I want to see this movie? This movie sucks. But like, it's unfortunate that like this has come out around the same time, because I feel like they're at the heart of it. Like there is an interesting story here. There is an exciting story that could have been told that would have been way better.
Not moving on from your past trauma will ultimately make yourself become your own worst villain. And that's like nice. I like that.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. And they've done it before. And this is also like obviously not the first adaptation of the Flashpoint story. There's a pretty good Justice League movie that's animated from I think 2014 somewhere there, or maybe even earlier, called The Flashpoint Paradox.
What is it? 4 hours long?
It's no, it's 75 minutes.
No, damn.
Yeah, it's really quick in and out. It's from Jay Oliva, who also did the adaptations of The Dark Knight Returns. So he's really great with like these animated flicks that he does for DC. And I'd say like those three movies, because The Dark Knight Returns is like split into 2 parts, are probably the best of DC animated I've seen. So if you were like, oh, this was kind of a mess, go check out that other movie, which spoilers here is gonna be my, I guess, double feature pick. But yeah, because that it just neatly kind of brings it down to the best parts where like instead of Bruce Wayne, it's his dad that becomes Batman, and they kind of are playing with that with Keaton having an older version here, but yeah, I think we kind of covered it with favorite, least favorite moments. There was also initially 3 different endings that would have all just been kind of not really cameos in a sense, but the one that's currently in theaters is the one with George Clooney, but there was also a version with Keaton's Batman and Callie Supergirl at the courthouse. There was one with Callie Supergirl, Cavill's Superman, Godot's Wonder Woman, and Keaton's Batman. So yeah, I don't know. Out of the 3, do you prefer the one that's just like ridiculous with George Clooney, or would you have liked to see another one?
It should have been all of the Batmans.
All of the Batmans, just like all of them in one universe.
All of the Batmans.
I feel like
one universe.
I feel like what the end kind of brought that is that it's kind of fixed it, whereas like everyone is in their timeline again. Would be crazy if all of them are there. So I feel like to not break it, there's like one of each that you get. But yeah, no, we should have just gotten like a weird version of George Clooney and Nick Cage together.
Fucking Robert Pattinson.
It's just the entourage of Ocean's 11 rocks up. No explanation.
Yeah.
That's
all
the end
Batmans.
of it. There's also a post-credit scene that's Barry with Aquaman. with Jason Momoa's Aquaman, and it felt like the most corporate post-credit scene you could ever do, because it was like a reminder that, oh yes, we did just show you George Clooney, but no, make no mistake here, Aquaman is still in this universe, and it's coming out later this year. So
Cool.
that was that. It didn't really miss anything there. It's just like really awkward humor that I didn't really like. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't know. I don't have anything else to say about The Flash. So let's get to our ratings for the film. Lachlan, you want to go first?
In its entirety, there was obviously good moments in this film. I felt that it was not complete, and I feel bad judging a film that's not fully complete. So hopefully in 4 years we'll get the machete cut, and it will be 7 hours long and in a different aspect ratio and in black and white. But I just can't get past how incomplete this film feels, especially around the CGI, the timing of different events. They introduce something to you, but they don't explain it for another like 30 minutes later, and then you're like, well, you should have explained that to me when you first did it. And it made me want more Affleck Batman. I know I'm not going to get it, unfortunately. Give me an old man Batman movie with Ben Affleck in like 20 years, and maybe I'll be happy then. But because it's incomplete, because all of that, there were moments that I enjoyed that got me excited, and then it let me down. So I'm just going to give this film 2.5. That's what it's getting.
Straight
maybe
down
a
the
2.
middle. No, you're going
maybe
even
2.
lower? Wow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, now I'm saying it out loud.
2 feels
2.
better. There's 2
changing it right
flashes.
now.
It's 2 stars from Lachlan. No, to me, I feel like it feels in a lot of ways, but it also has really fun moments, and I just want to have a fun time at the theater. And it was properly mixed this time when I saw it, not unlike Across the Spider-Verse. So I'm like leaning towards a 4.5 and a 5 for this one, because I love DC that much. Yeah, no, if I'm being honest, to me, I did like it a bit more than you did. It's like a 3 out of 5 to me. Straight down the middle, light recommendation if you do like DC. I feel like there's fun to be had. There's some good story elements, but like you said, feels ultimately like kind of incomplete all the way around. But yeah, that's that. So that concludes our review of The Flash. Let us know what you thought of it. So let's briefly talk about the new Pixar film Elemental. Spoiler warning straight away. We've seen the film. We've talked about it before in a separate. No, we actually didn't do a separate review for this, but we're just gonna do our spoiler thoughts.
Because it was that boring.
Yeah, there's really not that much to say about it, so we saved it for this. It's a prequel to Avatar: The Last Airbender, where fire, water, land, and air reside together in one big city. A fiery young woman, a go-with-the-flow guy, discovered that there's something elemental between them. They have something in common. So this is a rom-com, a $200 million expensive rom-com from Pixar that I didn't like, Lachlan. I didn't like it at all. Comes from the director who also did The Good Dinosaur, and it kind of shows. But I mean, if you look at where this movie has been received positively, there's no surprise that Letterboxd is kind of like, ooh, I like Pixar. I'm going to give that a 3.5. So that's the average there. On IMDb, also quite high, a 7.2. And on Metacritic, a 59. So still overall, like on the verge of being positive there. But yeah, what did you make of it? We all know that I didn't like it, but what did you make of it?
Yeah, I didn't hate it. I didn't love it.
Yeah.
I felt like it reuses a lot of elements from other Pixar movies. It kind of felt like the Pixar's greatest hits of jokes film, where they just copied and pasted those jokes formula and made it based in this world, in this elemental world, which, to be honest, got me excited because, what if, the joke about Pixar and the whole, what if blank had feelings, This is the same thing. What if elements had feelings? It's forming this same thing that I said at the start. It's like all of these movies are just merging into one big clusterfuck of a film. I can't remember what happened in each film individually because they all are very similar with their
Yeah.
stories and their
Yeah.
jokes, and they're essentially about look at these two cultures clashing and how
Yeah.
bad that is.
And it's also like, hey, these are my parents' expectations, and I kind of want to push through them.
Oh my
'Cause
god,
I'm not
parental
like that.
expectations. Did Pixar just hire a whole bunch of people who had terrible upbringings? Because
Fucking hell,
all
like
of a sudden,
Luca.
all of Pixar movies
of
is
them.
just like, my parents have this expectation. It's like, fuck off.
Let's
We
have a
get
look
it,
at
you
the
can have a
last
movie.
few. Let's have a look at the last few films of theirs to have a look at how many of them exactly do like that story. So, okay. So the last few we've had, I'd say Soul is not like that. Onward as well. It's not really the main focus of it, I'd say. But then Luca has that story. Turning Red has that story. Encanto, it's not Pixar, but it's also Disney, has that exact same story. Lightyear doesn't have that. In a sense, no, it doesn't have it for a side character.
Yep.
So, yeah. So, and Elemental doesn't have it as well. I feel like this movie would have been better if it just centered around the romance and that kind of thing, where there wasn't an issue about like the allegories, the obvious allegories that it tries to make between like race and all of that, like cultural background. Where it did make sense in this story that they're telling that like there's some kind of issue, because fundamentally they do have issues there, where like if you extend it to our own world, it doesn't make any sense. Because if you, I don't know, you don't brush up to next to someone and your skin starts to boil, that's not something that happens. And it feels like it's a bit more, I don't know, so extremely literal. And a lot of the jokes are also very literal. I'm a man who loves a good pun, but they just did too much with too little here. Stretched it too thin. And I was actively, I think, groaning and complaining about the film while we were watching it in like a prestige theater in Cannes. You kept like hearing me sigh all over and all over again.
Which is funny because the guy next to you was absolutely
Oh my
loving
God.
his time with this movie.
Oh
so you
my
were
God.
like, oh, and that guy was just laughing at the same time. It was great.
He was the
I had the
loudest
By the way, I had the
person.
best time watching this movie. It was
Yeah.
so much. It was so funny watching you and
I mean-
hate it, and the guy next to you and loving it.
You had a great experience. I also thought that like it was kind of funny that the other guy loved it so much. So that made it a bit more bearable to me. But then I just found it to be so unimaginative for something that holds like a lot of potential. And then it was so basic. And there's some like nice moments where, oh, your camera turned off. There's some nice moments where it looks great, like fire going over those different crystals or whatever and changing our color. And you either make a really pretty movie about the aesthetics and you don't really care about the story along the way, or you do the other thing. But having those little moments in between just didn't really work for me. It needed a bit more of a punch. It didn't really deliver on that front. And I don't think it's the worst Pixar movie, but it's certainly in like the bottom third of all of them. So to keep this review brief, is there anything else you want to add before we give our ratings for the film?
The movie's just not for me. It's a
Yeah.
kids movie after all.
No, I don't.
I think-
don't like that excuse. Kids
I
movies.
think that
I would
Ewan
recommend
hates
any
kids,
any
so
Studio Ghibli
Ewan
film.
hates
Any
kids
of the
movies.
earlier Pixar stuff.
Studio Ghibli is not for kids. It's for adults.
It's not. It isn't. Animation is not a medium for kids. It's a one for everyone. It's just
but
it's good and
Pixar
bad.
movies are.
Pixar movies are, yeah. Definitely.
Yes, that's what I'm
but
saying.
that
This is
doesn't
a kids
excuse it
movie.
from being bad. I feel like that's such a stupid argument.
And the thing is, it's not bad. It's just
because I
copied
can
and
enjoy
pasted from
something that's
other
not
Pixar movies.
made. Yeah, but I can enjoy something that's entirely not made for me, and I can see on its merit that it's good. But didn't see it here at all, and I think that has nothing to do with this. It's just like also the generic plot of like, hey, we gotta fix. There's so much stupid stuff in this movie. Like they gotta fix the dam, and there's a lot of cuts where characters are just not doing anything. They're being incredibly dumb. and then just like, oh, there's a problem that pops up. Although you kind of fixed the problem and then just ignored it. What a fucking idiot. That's why I can't, like, okay, it makes sense in a kid's brain because they like, oh, fix them, forget about it. And then it comes back, oh, remember them? It's like, come on, man. You can do better. Like, you can make something that is a bit better. I'm frustrated. It's so dumb. 2.5 out of 5. Lachlan, what about you?
3 stars out of 5.
Right. So we switched it around.
I increased it an extra half star out of spite to piss you off. It's also the lowest rated Metacritic score since
Pixar
Cars 3.
Oh, okay.
It's just
Wasn't
under
Cars 2
Lightyear.
also?
Cars 2 is the lowest. Cars 3 is like a point higher, and this is the same rating as Cars 3, and then Lightyear's 60 Metacritic. This is at 59.
Lightyear was better than this. It wasn't great, but it certainly was better than this. Although it was like really generic.
Lightyear was also really dumb. I don't want to get into Lightyear. We don't need to get into a Pixar
You never covered
bracket.
it because we're not updating that because I feel like that puts a curse on the show. But
the podcast for like
we might be
20
doing
years.
something for Wes Anderson because that's the movie we're going to talk about next week. Not to get ahead of myself, but double feature time for either of those films. What are you picking? I already leaked. I'm going with Justice League, the Flashpoint Paradox. What about you, Lachlan?
Lightyear, the great movie from Pixar, can go suck a
Cost
fucking...
free.
I guess that
The Good Dinosaur.
What would I pick? I guess for Flash, you should go watch a better multiverse movie. Go watch Spider-Man, or go watch Everything Everywhere All at Once. Or, actually, go watch Morbius instead. It's a better movie.
You still have not seen Morbius. I feel like you wouldn't say that if you had seen Morbius. It's really bad.
I can't put it back where it was. But if you've watched Elemental, you should double feature it with the entire Avatar: The Last Airbender series.
Ooh, yeah, I like that. I mean, you got enough time for that. You can space it out until the show comes out. But really keen for that one, Lachlan. But the new releases of the week of June 23rd are mainly Asteroid City in wide release. Yes, in wide release. Although you can enjoy it with a glass of wine at your local theater establishment. Very much looking forward to chatting about the latest from Wes Anderson that we can already say, because we already did a review for it, that we did enjoy. So you can check out our non-spoiler review. We'll go into more spoiler talks for Asteroid City. I don't know what there is much to say more about it in spoilers, but we'll definitely revisit that one. Then the Sundance darling and current one of the leaders over on Letterboxd as the best film of the year, Past Lives, is getting a wide release for me and Lachlan. I don't know about you, Lachlan. I haven't checked your local theaters, but for me, it doesn't get a release until August. I don't know. I'll try and reach out maybe to some distributors. Maybe I can get an early copy of it so we can chat about it sooner, but I'm very much looking forward to that. And then the raunchy comedy that we saw a bunch of in the early 2000s, but they've kind of disappeared now, with Jennifer Lawrence here in No Hard Feelings, is also getting a release. I'll be checking that out next week, so that's also gonna be featured on next week's show. But like we said, we're gonna be talking about Asteroid City and maybe another film here, because as we talk about the films that we already caught in gun, for most of them we already have a review out, so there's not much to add other than our spoiler thoughts there. So we'll have to come up with something in between, otherwise our shows will just like shorten in time. But that's it for this week. Lachlan, anything else you want to add? Want to show us your nice little camera again? And end it on a good note. You haven't seen Dharma, otherwise you like, stay, I just want to take a picture. Ooh, very lengthy boy. I love that. Oh, it extends. There's lines on it. That's very pretty.
And it's a macro.
Oh.
It's macro. Can't see because of the light. Yeah.
Yeah, so it can focus up really close. That's what that does. That's the end. See you next week. Bye.